All right, you ready?
I am, Tony. I'm very ready, and thank you for joining us this afternoon
Or morning or evening?
or morning, whatever your flavor is. You know, Tony, we just come out of one of the hottest spells I think I've ever lived through.
This has been a miserable summer.
Yeah.
We're going into fall, so things are, thank God, starting to cool down and get a little more human-like.
Of course, cooling down is kind of relative as to where you're from, right? I know some people say that 80 degrees is still hot.
There's some people that don't get to 80 degrees.
Yeah, they never get to 80
Of course, they
degrees.
have 8,000% humidity. We're in Central Texas.
Yeah.
So we stay dry, but triple digits, we get a lot of that.
We've got, and my wife, she's a small lady, and when it gets to be 80 degrees out, she's wearing earmuffs, gloves, and a jacket. Now, I know that's kind of ridiculous. Even in Texas, that's ridiculous. But there's a lot of you ladies out there that are just freeze all the time. So I pray that you can stay warm in this 80-degree day. I don't know about you, but man, when it was that hot, I couldn't even go outside.
It was brutal. You do anything, you just start sweating.
Just going out to mow the yard, and I just couldn't get a full breath.
Yeah, we're in Texas. We're used to like 100, 102 degrees, at least where we are. This summer we had 108, 100. I remember 112, 113
all summer
degrees.
long, all summer.
And that was it was rough on everyone, including the chickens. But we're now getting into fall. Things are cooling down. Days are getting shorter. And one of the products that we've been offering for a few years now has been what we call a Coop Light Kit. So what happens, everyone likes to take a vacation in wintertime, right, at Christmas? And as the days get longer, the internal clocks in our chickens start saying, oh, it's fall, take a break, take a month or 4 months off from laying eggs. And you go from having eggs everywhere to all of a sudden you've got to go to the store and buy some eggs. And that's almost feeling like a sin.
Well, we went from 15, 20 eggs a day down to 5. It was that radical of a change. And keep in mind that we have these 100+ degree days, and it's almost like overnight fall came on us. Just almost overnight. We went from that to 90 degrees, which was a cold front to us. Anything below our body temperature is considered cool. So we got into the 90s, and instead of my chickens producing better, they went down to 5. Like you're talking about, in anticipation for this fall. The shorter days have a lot to do with it. I know the sunlight, the amount of sun that a bird gets, has an awful lot to do with the not only the quality of the egg, but how often they produce.
Yeah, like we said, as the days get shorter, they stop laying near as often. And the big commercial guys, they've got their own fancy systems that give the birds a certain number of hours of light per day. And that affects not only eggs, but also growth of young birds and so forth.
Yeah, those I don't mean to interrupt you, but those commercial guys, they can even get into the different color of light that does different things. But they'll spend tens of thousands of dollars on this special lighting for their birds. And we came up with a product that is nowhere near that. It's very affordable, and it's not bad at all. Just anybody can afford this.
So let me walk you through what the basics of it. This is the controller itself. In here, it's got a timer. It'll turn the lights on, off. It runs off at 12 volts, so you don't necessarily need to have an outlet or so forth. Now, one thing I'm going to get into first is...
Well, I don't mean to interrupt you again, but you can run it off a house current if you choose.
Yes. Yeah, we do have a plug-in adapter. Here's one right here. So, if you have got electricity out at your coop, you got a fancy coop, you can just get one of these, and this is definitely a less expensive way to go with it. Now, I wanted to show you, this is the battery that we sell with our chicken doors. It's a 12-volt, 5-amp-hour battery, and I'm going to be using it for demoing. The problem with that battery is, for running the door, it works great. But when you have a light on for hours or multiple lights on for hours, that battery is just, and then you get cloudy days and a few days or even a week of bad weather, that battery just doesn't have enough capacity to keep it going.
I never realized how much electricity that a light really uses, even an LED light for that matter, which is the most fuel efficient light you can put on there. I didn't realize how much power one single light will draw.
Yeah.
And it is an incredible amount. I know this little battery, I know some of you guys are buying our light system with that small battery, and you are having some success for it, but we always recommend what Tony's holding here.
Yeah. I'm not going to hold it for much longer because this is heavy.
Yeah.
So one thing I'm going to say, this is the Walmart variety. This is an old one that's dead.
But it says 275 and the U1 group size,
Yeah.
so it's important.
U1's important, and then the CCA, that's cold cranking amps. I know Walmart sells a couple different ones. If it starts with 200 and something, don't buy it. I think it's got like a 90 or 6-month warranty, and it lasts the warranty plus 3 days. They offer another battery, and it's I think 340 cold cranking amps.
It's about $10 more.
Yeah,
it's not too much more.
And it'll last 4, 5, 6 times longer. So
Yeah.
definitely, that's something worth investing in. We don't ship these batteries because by the pound, UPS would make a fortune, and we'd spend twice as much on shipping as just buying it, somewhere local.
And there's a Walmart everywhere. So if you don't like Walmart, there's a store of your
store.
there's a store of your flavor somewhere.
Yeah, these are called like riding mower batteries.
Mhm.
So it's a standard 12-volt battery.
But I think the group is the style of the battery.
That's a U1.
So if you stick with the group U1, there'll be different manufacturers of that battery. But like Tony said, stay around the 300 cold cranking amps, or certainly not any less than 275. I have that on my gate opener, and I've had the bigger one, I think it's a 330,
Yeah.
and it's been there for a couple of years, and we're still using it. So
Yeah, on my riding mower, I think this may have been the one off my riding mower. It didn't last one season, and it was flat dead. And of course, they had a 90-day warranty, and it's like, yeah, okay, spend the money, go better. That's the advice.
yeah,
Back to the controller though. So within the controller, it'll show you the date and the time, and it's got 3 plugs on the bottom. The silver one's where the power plugs in. The other 2, you can have 1 or 2 lights plugged into this thing. So let me kind of walk you through a quick demo on how it works. So you're going to hook it up to your 12 volts, and your lights will go into the other ports. And I'll just have 1 light sitting here, and
there's another light. It's
yeah. So there's a big button here that says manual. And I don't want to blind the folks, but here it comes, blinding for you a second. It's a 3-watt light. This one is great for a smaller coop that, let's say you've got, 10 or 20 birds. It's a, 8 by 8, 10 by 10 size room. This is not enough light to sit here and read with. The chickens don't read. I know it surprises some of you, but it's enough that the birds, if they're on the roost. Now keep in mind, you want the light to turn on in the morning. You don't want the light on in the evening, because in the evening, then the birds will,
they'll stay out.
they'll stay up, they'll leave the coop, they'll do different things, they'll get trapped outside. If you have the light turn on, let's say sun rises at 7, so have the light turn on from 5 in the morning till 7 in the morning, that'll give them that sense that the day is longer, and then as the sun comes out, as your door opens, then you're not worried about them going out and fighting predators.
Now some people don't really realize, why you would want the extra light for those extra hours. And like Tony said, it's the day period is shorter. Well, how does that affect the bird? Well, what happens is that all these birds, whether it be chicken or pigeons or whatever, they require a certain amount of sunlight in order to lay a good, healthy egg. And so what this light is really for, it's more than just going in the coop and cleaning the coop out and looking for snakes is what I use it for. But it's to extend that lighting period so your egg production doesn't fall off to nearly nothing. It'll fall off regardless, but this will keep it from falling off so much.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the magic number for lighting is, but I suspect it's probably about 10 hours a day.
Yeah. Some people do 12 hours. It'll depend. One thing is your birds will need a break. You don't want to keep the light on year-round because they're going to need maybe a month or so of break off from laying eggs.
Keep them good and healthy, yeah.
Yeah, but I know I've had girls in the past that they take a 4 or 5 month sabbatical, and it's like, I don't think so, girls. You gotta,
you exist for my breakfast.
yeah, you have a choice of make some eggs or get in the freezer.
Yeah, one or the other.
Okay, one question we get asked about is how do you set this thing up? So I'm going to walk through that. First, And you see there's a red light on top. When you press this manual button, it'll go from off to auto to on. And when it's on, you see the red light's on, and then the light would be on if it was plugged in. But normally you're going to want that on auto, which is, it'll say at the bottom. For setting your opening and closing times, I'm going to hold it up. It's probably better not to plug it in for now.
Well, hold it.
I'm going to hold it. All right.
There you go. That way they can see it come on.
Okay, well, it's
We're
on.
not talking about open and closing times. We're talking about on and off.
Yeah, so on and off, just the manual button switches you back and forth, auto, on, off. For adding hours to the birds so that, let's say it's on from 5 to 7 in the morning, it's really straightforward. On the left is the P button, that's programming. You're going to press that button once, and on the bottom, let's see, on the bottom left side, your side, it will show 1. And you can have multiple programming periods that open up. But with that 1, you're telling it when you want it to turn on. Now you press your hour or minute button, and if you want it to turn on at, let's say,
I'd say about 4 a.m.
Yep, and this is military time, so going back around to, let's say if you want to turn on at 4:01 a.m., press the program button again, and it now says 1 and off, and so let's say you want to turn off at 7, okay, I got it set for 8, and you can adjust your minutes as well. Press the program button again. Now you've turned 1 on and off cycle, you've set them, and at the very bottom middle is a clock symbol. Press that clock symbol. It's now gone back into regular mode. It'll turn on at whatever we set, 4:01 in the morning.
Yep.
Turn off at 8:01 in the morning, and you don't have to be there. And the girls are getting that extra light so that you get the eggs for an extra, whether it's a month or 2 or however long you want.
And I'd say, 4 hours would be about your maximum. I would think in some cases it may be too much.
Unless you live in Alaska, in
Alaska's
which case,
different, yeah.
I recommend U-Haul.
Yeah, all you guys in Alaska, God bless you. I've watched and seen you guys up there, and you guys must be the toughest, most rugged people I've ever met in my life. And God bless you. You can live in that environment.
Yep. And we talked about the plug-in adapter, but we didn't talk about the solar panel. Do you want to walk through that?
Yeah, the solar panel, we use the solar panel for a lot of different things. We use it for the chicken doors as well. And if you have the chicken door and the light kit, and you want to go solar, this 15-watt solar panel is definitely the way to go. That way, one solar panel and the charge controller is all you're going to need to charge both units. You will need the bigger battery, and so you don't want to use the smaller battery. But this little charging unit, it's got these little icons right here. And from your left to right, the first one is where the solar panel connects. It's got a positive and a negative, red on red, black on black. The next icon is where the battery would go into. The next icon is the little light. Okay, and so the light is where you could put not only the light kit itself, but you could also plug the door into there as well. Most people just take the door and go straight to the battery with it instead of going through the charge controller. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But it's a real easy connection. There's really no programming involved. There'll be a little LED right here that'll tell you the actual voltage of your battery. This is a really good controller.
It does need to be indoors, though. The charge controller and this controller both do need to be inside.
Weather protected.
Yeah, they don't handle the severe weather as well.
Yeah,
solar panel that goes outside.
We did have one guy that kept telling me, it's weather protected, it's weather protected. And then finally I asked him to send me a picture of it. And he had it up against the coop on the outside with a plastic bag all around it. And that was holding the moisture in, is what that was doing. And he was going through these things like crazy. So I had a little discussion with him and explained what weather protection really is. And it does need to be open, not sealed in a plastic bag. And weather protected normally to us means inside the coop or someplace where it can't get direct rain on it or moisture building up inside of it. So
one advantage with this unit as well, once you hook it up to the battery, it'll actually show you your battery voltage.
Yeah.
A fully charged battery is about 12.8 volts. About 12.0, the battery's at about 50%.
Yeah.
So you can just kind of look at it and see. And one kind of a nice feature is when you drain a battery way, way low, that can kill a battery. This charge controller will actually disconnect the lights if the battery gets too low. So it's designed to protect it to a degree.
And the solar panel, we used to sell this panel without this bracket on it, and we listened to you, we heard you, and we understand that you want a bracket. And so we had these brackets made, and it's got nice little holes here where you can mount it on the side of your coop and then point it up, or you can mount it on your roof and then aim it whatever you want. Just keep in mind that this needs to be mounted towards the southern sky at somewhere around 15 to 20 degrees. That doesn't have to be exact, but something like that. But the southern sky is rather important. And under trees, it doesn't work well. I know it still gets light on it, but it does need direct sunlight. You can get it with extra wire if you want to. I think it comes with 10 feet of wire.
Yes.
Okay, and you can get up to 100 feet of wire if you need that. I would make one suggestion: if you go the solar route and you're like me and you've got squirrels and mice and you just can't control them, which most of us cannot, by the way. What I did is I took an old garden hose and I ran the solar wire inside that garden hose. And I can still see where the squirrels had eaten on the garden hose, but they have not been able to eat my wires. So every year about this time, or actually right during springtime actually, we get a lot of calls about my battery's not charging. And so we always ask them to inspect the wires, and more often than not, we find that a rodent or a squirrel has been chewing on the wires. So instead of going down that road where you're replacing a lot of stuff you don't need, troubleshooting, I just think about some sort of conduit. If a garden hose doesn't work for you, PVC, there's other ways to do it. I know a guy used that hard plastic water line, but run it in something, okay? Because they will be building their nest. And
Yeah. And if you have goats and geese, double protect it because they chew everything.
yeah, especially goats. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a word for everyone?
I do. We're in time right now where we don't know what's next. We don't know what's going on, not only with our government, but even with the truth of what's being said out there in the public. But there is one truth that is stood the test of time, and that's the Lord Jesus Christ in the Bible. And like I say on every one of these podcasts, I realize a lot of you guys are just not sure about that, or you just really don't believe it. And that's okay. It's okay to not be sure. I was not sure for a long time. But what's not okay is when you stop looking for the truth. That's really not okay. It shouldn't be okay with you, and if you're a parent, it shouldn't be okay with your children as well. So continue to look for the truth. You will discover it, and you will find that it's an unchanging truth. And as long as we know the truth, whether it's good or bad, we know how to deal with life and things that come at us. So just knowing the truth brings me joy. I know it brings
Absolutely.
Tony joy. And it gives us a purpose in life to maybe right some of the wrongs that we've heard about. As a man, we've got responsibilities as a man. And women, you have responsibilities as a woman. But we all have to start with truth and not some fantasy. So I leave that with you, and in these terrible times that we live in, which I'm sure there'll be more to come, we can always stand on the truth of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
Have a wonderful day.
All right. God bless you.